Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had intended you to become.
Right. Thank you, Ustaz. Ms. Maimuna.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, I wanted to give my special thanks to the speakers who have brought into the hall not just your tears, your soul, your stories, and your being. And I think what's most important, as I hear you, or as I hear about pain, I think there is always this very quick desire that when there is pain or when we are given a situation that ignites pain, it is almost natural and almost human that we want to remove the pain or we want to deal with the pain. But it's so interesting today, you have enriched my observation with regards to pain, because clearly we have very little vocabulary with regards to pain. We talk about pain as in sadness or it's pain in the heart, pain inside, pain outside. We have very limited language for it. In fact, today when I listen to everybody, or the speakers particularly, the pain that you've talked about has actually invited me to see how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so rich and so, what do you call it? So creative, eh? Pain, very creative. I like.
Creative in the ways that He wants to teach us something.
I think Allah is, I think when we talk about pain, the beauty of it is Allah has actually, only today I learned. Before this, of all the books that I've learned, I've not heard about it. Today when I learned from every one of you, you have taught me that pain comes with emotion. Pain is related to emotion, pain is psychological, pain is physical. There are many aspects of pain. And sometimes, or rather most of the time, the pain is overlapping. So losing someone makes you feel sad, but you feel sad, you say you feel the pain, but do you feel the pain of losing the person, or you feel the pain of longing for the person? So it's really, to me, it's really broadening the concept of pain. So to the speakers, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maimuna, for that. I think that's really what I think as the moderator going through the different conversations. I think there's a lot of conflicting emotions going on. Like at moments I can relate to the pain, and then I think about it as an ache, and then I think about it as a longing. So it just enriches, like what you said, the different layers of pain that we feel. I'm going to go to the Slido questions that has so far been voted the most. Maybe Ustaz Liyana can answer this question. The question is, how do we forgive someone who has inflicted so much pain on us? How do we move on? And I think this is one that's close to your heart as well.
Can you repeat the question, Nabila?
How do we forgive someone who has inflicted so much pain on us?
Okay, so this is one of the very popular questions that I receive on my platform. So how do I forgive someone when I do not have a closure from that person? Or in any case, in a different case, I do not get any forgiveness from that person. I think at one point or many points in our life, we have someone or many people that hurt us, and then they think that they didn't. And then they would change the game and say that you're the one that hurt me, you're the one that's causing the trouble, you're the one that's causing the pain, I didn't do anything wrong. So they cause so much pain in you, but then they played the victim card and say that it's you, you're the toxic one. So I went through this question for the longest time. I was asking Amizi for answers, I was asking Ms. Maimuna for answers. At the end of the day, I realized that one painful truth is I would never get a closure from them. And even when I expected to get a closure, I would never have it. So am I supposed to wait for it? Am I supposed to expect forgiveness? What am I supposed to do? So it brought me to the second question. So the first question is me accepting the fact that I will never get a closure from this person, and this person will forever say that he or she is a victim, and I'm the toxic person. So the first one is to accept that you will never get a closure. So you have to find that closure from yourself, from within, and it's very hard work because you want a closure from others. How on earth are you going to get a closure from yourself? So it brings me to the next question, which is, what do I do next? We have all this pain, right? Because people hurt you. Like, let's say I took some paniti out and I poke you, and then you feel that pain. I will not do it, of course. And then what's next? You know. So one of the things that I brought myself in a very uncomfortable position is I asked the question to myself, so what's next, Liyana? You have this pain and you will never get a forgiveness, so what are you going to do about it? And they will answer the question of what to do next.
This one very good at Tai Chi. They're like, you know, I mean, but I think going on to that, I think when you're speaking, there's a lot of things that you need to negotiate. Right, there's anger, you know, saya tak dapat closure. There's also that pain of, okay, I'll never get closure, but then, okay, what do I do next? So there's a lot of, like, you know, the sense is like, I feel like you need to somehow do something, right? Maybe Ms. Maimuna or Ustaz Mizi can say, what is this compelling, you know, why do we feel the need to very quickly do something about it?
By the way, it's Ustazah Maimuna. She got upgraded just now to Ustazah Maimuna. What to do next? After what?
Yeah, why do we feel the need to do something? I'm just wondering.
As a result of?
As a result of the pain that we are going through.
Because if you don't do anything, you're gonna stay stuck. And that's unhealthy. We always need to figure out what to do next. You know, what can we do to get out of this rut that we've been in for the longest time? I always, when people come to me with issues, problems, loss, grief, heartbreak, and whatever it is that they're dealing with, I always tell them it's okay. If you're still struggling, you know, 6 months later, if you're still crying about it, even 9 months later, if you're still having meltdowns, even a year later, but when it gets a bit too long, macam like say that 2 and 3 years, they're still in the same state, I always encourage them to be open to seeing a specialist like Miss/Ustazah Maimuna and Nabila Badar, because at the end of the day, you need to be practical. Islam does not encourage us to stay where we are when we are struggling. Islam tells us to go out and find a cure. Likulli da'in dawa, for every illness there is a cure. Fatadawa, so search for that cure. And then I see someone as inspirational as my good friend over there, Riz. I love you, Riz. Quick story. Correct me if I'm wrong, Riz, but you sent me for Hajj at the airport in 2018. And we even have a picture together. We took a picture. And then I went in, and you told me that was the day, the first time you suddenly collapsed, you fell on the floor. And you didn't know what was going on back then. You said it was so embarrassing, a pakcik had to pick me up, you said, right? And I'm so amazed that you took that pain that you've had to just suddenly deal with at your age and use it for good. You have been going out and doing amazing things. So this is another purpose of pain that sometimes we may overlook, that, you know, your pain can be the message that you bring to people to inspire them, to help them believe in good, believe in goodness, believe in God, believe in all things amazing, right? So, give him another big round of applause. So, we have to do something about it. I think it's very natural for us to want to do something, and to stay is actually very unhealthy, that's what I would say.
I just wanted to, I was not preparing for this, but I came across this saying from Ruby, which is really, really beautiful. Rumi said, "These pains you feel are messengers. Listen to them." Ustaz mentioned about Riz is doing a message for other people in terms of how we could deal with pain. SubhanAllah, may Allah reward you abundantly.
Ameen.
However, I, as a practitioner who deal and listen to pain on a daily basis, I see the need for pain to sit next to us. Because sometimes we think that we need to quickly change, or what is the word that you used just now? About pain?
Do something about it.
Yeah, do something or move on, right? This idea of moving on. I love Nora's mentioning, you know, most of the time, and I think most of the speakers really, they talk about how all these things are truly cliches. Because pain is actually an opportunity for us to be in touch with what we need to be connected with. Because we do not know what we need to be connected with. You don't know what you value until you've lost it, right? You don't know that. But so pain actually has the opportunity for you to relearn what you have, what you can have, what you will value, what you will look up for. So if we see pain as a pain in the right, then it will be. It will be. But if you see pain as an opportunity, like Ustazah and Ustaz, for example, you work through, and look at them, it's 10 years of work and still work in progress. MashaAllah. You know, so it's very easy. So I think this is something that I want to share with everybody. If nothing else I say matter, this should. Please remember that pain offers a lot of opportunity, and we wouldn't know until we sit down and start defining it. And it is important for us to have that bitter, painful conversation with somebody who would be able to listen, not some mangkok who says, astaghfirullah, you should have sabr, and if you don't have sabr, you really not so mashallah sis. You know, so you know, and oh my God, you are really following the path of the kuffar, for example, because you never say astaghfirullah or never say alhamdulillah for this thing. Yeah, nah. I'm sorry. What?
Macam suara Ustaz Tamlika bukan?
So I think it is. I think again, this is an invitation sebenarnya. Kalau we look at pain in a way that devalues us, Wallahi al-Azim, it will be. But if we look at pain as an opportunity to learn how we deal with pain and future pain. Why? And why do I say that? Because the pain that you go through now is just a precursor. There'll be more pain coming up. So the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in preparing us to deal with pain is He gives it to you now, so that you can actually develop a way, a repertoire of skills to be able to actually deal with the pain in the near future. Allahu A'lam. Can I also take this opportunity to just say, super thank you for the brothers who are here today. It's very rare, ya Allah, it's so rare for men to come for session, so respect Samalu. But my point is also, is this, you know, I think I just wanted to also highlight that men deal with grief and pain very differently. And sometimes spouses, the woman usually, my God, I get headaches sometimes. Women expect men to understand that, you know, this is how I grieve. But the men say, move on lah, just, you know, move on. But you know, the woman's way of dealing with grief is very, very different. So I just want to briefly put it out there, that men and women grieve differently, but men also cry, but not the same way. So they deal with pain very differently. And again, their way of dealing does always and often, they are misunderstood a lot. Just because they grieve with aggression, more work, put structure in place, for example, they think, you know, we women think that they don't grieve. Yeah, so give them a break lah. They also
Yeah, thank you so much. I thought you were nak tutup, tapi you tarik balik macam you puji kita. Thank you so much. No, I just wanted to say something. I agree with her completely, and I feel like men grieve and men cry hard, but most men don't cry long. women cry hard and long. That's what I noticed. Betul tak? Lama, tak adalah. But in all seriousness, I've seen men, fall into depression because of something that happened. They fall really, really hard, and suicidal. And if you look at global statistics, there are more male suicides than female, to be honest. And so men, sometimes we struggle to deal with the pain, and we don't know how to communicate or express it. The result is always unfortunate.
Can I quickly just respond to that?
Sure.
That actually, I must disagree. The men today, subhanallah, now, alhamdulillah, based on experiences. So well done, brothers. Men are actually very capable. It's just that we need to be, the therapists have to be able to invite that feeling to surface. And when that invitation is provided, subhanallah, you see them weeping like babies, not putting down on them. I adore a man who can be in touch with their emotion. But I also need to learn how to give them space. Macam dia dah macam, oh, I don't. Then after that, continue Cik Maimuna. So it's okay. So, different people grieve very differently.
And I think just to add on to that, I think people want to be cared differently as well. Right? I think the notion is, when we're grieving, when we have pain, just now we talk about support, right? I'm also thinking about maybe there might be a gender difference between how men receive and give support, how men want to be cared for, and how men cares also for their loved ones. I think that's a good reminder, right? The other question that's also most voted is, maybe this one Ustazah Liyana can answer, which is there any dua that we can practice when the pain of losing someone is too hard to bear?
Okay, a lot of people need dua or something to recite to calm their emotions, because it's like membuat, right? What's membuat in English, Kak Maimuna? It's like overflowing, right? And then you don't know what to do with the pain. So this connects to the first thing that I shared earlier. When I feel pain, I don't know what to do with it. Am I supposed to do something with it? Am I supposed to put it somewhere? Am I supposed to share it with someone? I don't know what to do with it, right? When a bad news comes to me, or when a bad news comes to you, or when you're struck by, I don't know, catastrophe, and then you don't know what to do with it. So I don't know how to react, I don't know how to respond, I don't know what to do with it. So I remember I was so desperate at that point of time. And yes, we as Atiza, we memorize the Quran, we memorize thousands of hadiths, but at that point of time I couldn't think of any. So can you imagine, like you learn so much in school, and then you know all these hadiths and verses of the Quran, but suddenly when life just decided to hit you hard, you don't know what to recite. So yes, we can give you examples of what to recite. Maybe doa Nabi Yunus, La ilaha illa anta subhanak inni kuntu minaz zalimin, or Ya Latif. There are so many things that you can recite. We can give you like 10 pages or 15 pages of things to recite. But if they don't connect with you, and when you recite it you don't feel anything, then perhaps you don't need that 10 pages of guideline. All you needed was your voice. So just recite whatever dua that at that point of time you feel like reciting. I remember one of the things that I always recite when I'm at my lowest is Allahumma inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin fakir, which is, oh Allah, I'm desperate for what's good that you can give me. I'm desperate for some help. Fakir, so you're like putting yourself at the most desperate point. So I remember always telling myself, Inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin fakir. I want you to bring down some goodness, because right now I cannot see any goodness, I cannot see any light. That is one of the dua that I would recite. Another dua that I would recite is, do you know the story of Ta'if, right? All of us know the story of Ta'if, where our Prophet Muhammad had to go through, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had to go through so much. And then he read this dua. If you can Google it, it's very straightforward, the dua of Ta'if. So the start of the dua, it says, Allahumma anta rabbul mustad'afin. Oh Allah, you are the God for those who are weak. It's like, what a description. God has 99 names, but in that particular recitation, in that particular dua, Prophet Muhammad said or mentioned You are the God, you are the Lord of those who are weak, which means He knows that we are here. He knows when we're in pain, we are at our weakest. So when He mentioned that you are the God for us who are feeling so weak, I connected to that first dua really, really strongly. So sometimes I don't have anything to say. I will just say, Ya Allah, why? I don't know, I don't have the words to say. You can be a public speaker, but when pain just like decided to like poke you, you have no words to describe what you're feeling. So sometimes you just have to say, oh Allah, I don't understand what's happening. So use recitations or dua that really connect with you at that point of time. We can give you 10 pages of surah, 10 pages of dua, but if they don't connect with you at that point of time, then it's really no point at all.
So what I'm hearing is, whatever recitation, you need to have a relationship with it.
Correct.
When you have a relationship with it, you understand a bit of the meaning, or just the gist of it, and that would be enough for you to remember during your hard times.
Correct.
Right. Ustad, you wanted to say something?
This story is about losing someone. So there was the time during the time of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was still around, of course. There's this man named Abu Salama, and he was an amazing man, amazing companion. And he was known to be one of the nicest, most gentlest, most romantic men at that particular time. And it was rare. And if I say it's rare now, Ms. Maimuna will disagree again. So men are gentlemen today, alhamdulillah. So he was an amazing man, standout companion in terms of ibadah, in terms of memorization of Quran and everything. But he was also exceptional in the fact that he was a great husband. And he is Abu Salama, the wife is Salama. So one day he went out to go to war with the Prophet ﷺ and the rest of the companions. And unfortunately, for that particular battle, he did not come back home. He died as a martyr, as a shaheed, and he passed on. When the companions came back and brought the news to her, of course, it was a heartbreaking news. It was difficult for her to take. Salama said, how is there even anyone else better than Abu Salama? Is there any man out there who can ever replace him? And then the companions who heard her say those things as she was clearly grieving and hurting from the loss of her beloved husband, the companions said, Ya Salama, the Prophet ﷺ taught us that if someone passes on, say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We came from Allah, and we most certainly will eventually return back to Him. And then the Prophet ﷺ taught us to read, Allahumma ajurni fi musibati wa khlufli khayran minha, which means, oh Allah, please reward me for this calamity that has affected me, and replace the loss with something better. Wa khlufli khayran minha. And then she said again, but is there anyone better? Because the dua is asking for something better. She said, is there anyone better than Abu Salama? And within months, she was approached by a man for marriage, and that man was none other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so the response to that question, is there anyone better? The answer was Bala. In Arabic, Bala means indeed, there was. And that man was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Right, thank you, Ustaz. I mean, one of the questions here as well that's also most voted is, when I'm hearing this narrative about how pain, when God put you through trials, it's a form of punishment, right? So there's a few questions that wants to be that question to be addressed, like, how do I stop telling myself that Allah is punishing me because of this is trial, because this is the sins I've had in the past? How do we address this guilt or this narrative that somehow seems ingrained in our mind?
I always share with my students this diagram. So every single one of us is being tested with different form of pain, right? Some very intense, some not that intense, but for them it's very intense. So if we look at these three categories, the first category is those who have never committed any wrongdoings. Like for example, the mashallah people, right? The first category is the ones that mashallah, Allah baiknya, macam they would never hurt an end. And then the last category, so there's category A, B, and C. This is how I would draw the mind map. So category C is the one that always buat dosa. Always macam every day they just couldn't be bothered with religion. They keep doing wrong things over and over again, unethical things, immoral things over and over again. They don't feel anything about it. And then there's category B, which is people like us. Sometimes we are so mashallah, and then sometimes we are so astaghfirullahalazim. So it's like we are right in between. Sometimes macam, ya Allah, hari ni I want to read the entire Quran, and then the next day, oh maybe Allah is forgiving, He will understand why I don't want to pray. Right? So right in between. So if you look at this diagram, every category is being tested with a form or many forms of pain. But then category A, they will use this pain to make them more closer and connected to God. They don't blame God for giving them. They don't say like, God, why do you have to choose me to plant this pain? I have never done anything wrong to you. I've been praying every day. I've been doing charity every day. They didn't question God for that pain, but rather they take it and then they do something great with it. And then the last category is like, they're blaming God every single time, to the point that they give up in God. You give me so much pain, you're not merciful, you're not compassionate, that's exactly why I'm giving up on you, because you don't make my life easier. And then there's people like us, so we don't want to be like the last category. We want to use the pain not to blame God or not to blame the fate, but rather we want to be like category A. And this is as cliche as it sounds. So many times we are listening to these words tonight about cliche. I know of this story where my friends in Yemen, they would say that, in Tarim, they would say that if nothing bad happens to them in that day, they would worry. I don't understand. I was like, don't you want a worry-free day? But for them, because they realize, they really hold on to all the prophetic narration that says, if Allah really wants something good for you, if He really loves you, then He would afflict you with tests. So they really hold on to that hadith. So if nothing bad happens to them, they were like, is it God has forgotten about me? Is it God has neglected me? And here we are wanting to push pain. We are saying that, it's a punishment of what I did in the past. So let's just reflect on the three categories. We don't want to be like the last category, but rather we want to work hard to be like those who appreciate these gifts and blessings from God through pain.
Thank you. And when you look like you have something to say.
Whoever is asking this question, I wish I can come up to you and give you a hug. Sorry, virtual. Hi.
Halal. No, coronavirus. So halal hug.
There's God.
Precautionary measures are essential also, must precautionary.
Anyway, before I forget, I think I just wanted to say, the person who asked this question, you've struck the chord. You've asked the most important question ever. Because can you post out the question again? I'm old and I cannot remember. Yeah. So you see, look at this. Semantically, right? When you ask that question, how do I stop telling myself? I invite you to not ask yourself anymore, but ask Allah. Stop trying to play God and trying to make God do His job, but rather ask God to help you to do it. Because this is really a wonderful question, a wonderful realization. This is a wonderful realization that you want to have a different relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the next question to follow from this question is, Oh Allah, help me have a different relationship with you. Because we must remember, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's beyond sin and goodness. There's more than that Allah is giving us. There's more than what He is just wanting us to be righteous or not righteous, or a radical or non-radical. There's more to that. There's more opportunity for us to learn, and not learn just about us, but really learn about Him. This is an invitation to learn about Him, His qualities, His capacity, His capability to help us. This is I wanted to say this is humanifying, but that one will cost you another lecture. But this to me is a question filled with humility. And what more can any insan ask for when you have the humility to have conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So my dear brothers and sisters, this is really a very good opening to have not just relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but really have conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there is no ask Allah like this, ask Allah like that. Nak tanya, pi lah, tanya, buka je buku, pi tanya banyak-banyak. He's waiting. He's saying that, I am closer to you than your jugular veins, right? So ask.
Kan Ustazah dah keluar?
Kan. Siapa tidak upgrade? Perempuan ni kan percaya lu.
Right. I mean, I think we are coming to the end of our day today. I think maybe to end this conference or to end this day. I mean, I see the three of you as, mashallah, individuals who help others, and that is what you strive to do, right? But also as insan, we have pain. So maybe a personal anecdote from each of you. Who do you go to? Because you're so busy helping other people, attending to their pain. What about you, and who do you go to when you are also going through something difficult? Maybe we will start with Ustaz Mizi and end with Ustazah Liyana.
A couple of years ago, I posted on a Facebook wall when I wasn't on Instagram yet. I asked, the motivator motivates, but who motivates the motivator? There were a long trail of answers, and then I brought it on Instagram not too long ago, and also so many different answers. I feel like there is a group neglected, and these are the groups that are looked up as the ones who go out every day to save people, to help people, as if they are not going through stuff in their own personal lives, as if they don't feel pain, as if they don't feel fatigue, as if they've never thought of giving up. But in the opening of my book, The Art of Letting God, I said that the number one temptation that all of us face is actually the temptation to quit. And I guess if there were moments, for me, moments of wanting to quit stuff that I did. And this went all the way back in my early years of Safina, like 2009, 2010. I remember breaking the barrier and doing things a bit differently, and people not receiving it very well. Like now it's a norm, right? You see here tonight. But back in the day it was different. And so one person can write an anonymous, long, negative feedback, and then it would hurt me for weeks. And it would make me contemplate and wonder, is this the right path? Should I continue doing this or not? And I can have 99 other good reviews, but just one, Ustazah can relate to that. So I think for me, it's family. Family is where I go to when I don't think I can handle it anymore. Specifically my wife and my kids. I feel comfortable talking to them. I feel comfortable sharing with them. And as simple as sometimes just coming back home and I see my kids all asleep and I just hug them and kiss them, and half of the pain is gone. And we all have our different ways to cope, but that's what I normally do. And to be honest, I don't share much with people. And I know some people, friends, close friends, they get very frustrated and don't share my problems. Missy, you're human, right? Come on, tell me what's going on. I said, I'm good. And it's true enough. I think we need to also be selective with whom we share and who we trust, and whether it's even necessary, because sometimes it's not even necessary to share or to burden other people with our own particular problems, when we know that we already have one or two people who can help us and who can make us feel better. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Ustaz. Bismillah.
Very pertinent question. As a systemic practitioner or a systemic psychotherapist, I believe in developing a system of care. I have my family who cares for me, alhamdulillah, but I cannot just rely on them because they know I am the carer for them, especially my mom and dad who's elderly. And I think when I talk about systems of care, I'm actually looking in front, all of us right here. We have the capacity, and it is very, very important for us to develop a system of care. And for me, I am superbly blessed. I'm superbly blessed. Alhamdulillah, I cannot thank Allah more than anything else. Because if I turn around and said, I just need a hug, there'll be like 5 people coming in front and just give me a hug. And to me, what helped me is, alhamdulillah again, is the gift that Allah has given to me, which is the ability to feel and the ability to articulate. And when I am able to articulate my pain, Allah not just taught me about what I need, Allah taught me about not trying to be too strong and trying to help and change the world, but not give yourself the opportunity to be careful. So that realization was very important, which is then only very recently. Last time, really people, I'm alright. I can save the world, I can save relationship, I can do this, I can do that. But people forget that we too get tired, we get sick. Sometimes I get scolding by my clients too. They say, why did you not come for this session today? But I love them all. Nonetheless, like I said earlier, I'm very, very blessed with the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, which is the ability to articulate. Because sometimes, and most of the time, people find it very difficult to articulate what they need because it is very shameful to say, I think I need to cry today, I don't know whether I can. But sometimes tears are just looming, but when we have permission, when the people who wants to care for us is given the permission to care, that's magic. So one of them are here, and somewhere down there. Alhamdulillah. So thank you.
Thank you. Staza.
I actually was so ashamed to seek for help because Miss Marina was saying that she can articulate what she needs. When I'm down, I felt like I cannot be down because I am the motivational speaker, I am the strong ustazah, so I have to constantly be strong. And I was so ashamed to admit that I have those low moments because I don't want to burden anybody. That's one. I feel like I'm going through so much, so what's wrong with me? So if I were to share it with someone, what's the point? It's like I'm burdening them, I'm worrying them extra, and they don't even understand. They won't even understand what I'm going through. So what's the point? So for the longest of time, I felt the need to keep it all to myself and be this iron lady, like I can handle it, I can do this. But in the end, the more I try to fake myself to be this strong iron lady, the more my armor started to like break apart. Like one by one started to crumble and comes down, and I realized that I cannot do this anymore because I was like gluing that armor with fake cheap glue. You know, like fake cheap glue. It's like you want to be strong, and then I would come to classes or come to events like this. I would smile, force my armor to smile, but then deep inside I was like, oh no, I'm not okay, I'm not alright. So I learned, the more I attend sessions, the more I realized that it's actually okay for me to say I need something. So for a start, I started to brief myself and remind myself that it's perfectly fine to tell people that you're so down, you're so low, and you need something. But now I think I realize that I keep doing too much of it. Like sikit pain pun, I'm in pain, what to do with it? So macam right now I need to be balanced because from one extreme to another extreme. But I think as moms, right, we are so strong for our children, and we felt the need to be strong for ourselves too. Padahal in English is what? Padahal, we can't do it. We can't do it. So what I would do is, the moment I don't have the courage to tell anyone yet, I would just, this is a little bit sensitive, maybe for some, I would just shut down everything. I would off my phone, I would close the windows in my room, and I would play very emotional songs. because I just want to cry together. Those emo songs playlist, right? So I literally will go to playlist on Spotify, I would say the most saddest song. Legit. So like much legit is okay. So I would cry because I think I don't have the words to utter, right? So I just needed to let it out. So I can sengaja dengar lagu yang ya Allah, nangis dan I dah keluarkan all the air mata. And then when I'm ready to say I need help, and then I would approach people who truly matter.
Right, thank you. I mean, thank you very much, Ustaz Mizi, Maimuna, Ustazah Diana, for sharing your insight based on your experience, mashallah. And I hope, you know, I think being the person who was, you know, having conversation with all of the speakers, I cannot help but feel very humbled. And I feel each and every one of them have a lot of gems that they have said throughout the night. I mean, I say this because I have so much respect for them, but also know that what they say may not land with you right now. Some things may not fit right now, but inshallah, when the time comes where you need to develop yourself as a person through whatever means of pain, you'll remember some of the anecdotes that each of the speakers have said, right? And with that, I pray that Allah hold us as we go through our journey in this life, and may He reward us more in the hereafter. So thank you everyone for being here. I pass it back to Hannah.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much to all our speakers for letting us see the beauty of pain. And also, Miss/Ustazah Maimuna, I like to quote also a quote from Rumi. It says, "The wound is where the light enters you." So hopefully we can all see that this pain is a form of light, upon light for us to inshallah, you know, face it all, alhamdulillah. And with that, we have ended our Salam Symposium 2020. From the bottom of my heart and to all the organizers, we'd like to thank our sponsors, our supporters, our partners, our platinum sponsor, MFA Group, PPIS Vista Sakina, POCA, supported by Mishka SG, Shizat, Enaya, Mamkhara Singapore, Noraisa, Aura, No Pet No Pit, Sweet Bakes SG, and Bihar, Petits SG, Yummy Takoyaki, and on behalf of Liyana Musfirah Network, I apologize for any shortcomings and hope you have benefited greatly from tonight's event and have an impactful start to 2020. And we'd now like to invite once again Ustaz Mizi to lead us in the closing dua as we end the event. Ustaz, tafadhal.
الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا ناعمين حمدا شاكرين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كثيرا ولك الشكر كثيرا، لك الحمد بالإسلام ولك الحمد بالإيمان، لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله وإليك المصير. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Oh Allah, we ask you here tonight, carrying all the pains and all the burdens and all the sufferings and all the struggles that we have been dealing with for the longest time, Ya Allah. And so we ask you here tonight with all humility, we ask for your love, we ask for your mercy, we ask for healing to come from you. For you are ultimately the greatest healer of all. For ultimately you understand our hearts better than we do. For ultimately you understand the wisdom as to why you took away our loved ones earlier than when we expected. For ultimately, you know what's best for us in the future. And so tonight, there are some of us who came here confused. Please grant us clarity, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, there are some of us who are lost. Please guide us back to the straight path, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, some of us here tonight feel guilty and remorseful. Please grant us your forgiveness, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, there are some of us who are heartbroken and sad and disappointed, Ya Allah. Please instill peace and love in our hearts, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, there are some of us going through instability and turmoil in our family. Please grant us strength to deal with and then to overcome those challenges and come out so much better than before, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, please grant us the opportunity to meet with Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. For indeed, there are hearts tonight yearning to meet with and to be reunited with the greatest month of the year. To get another chance to meet with the best night of the year, Laylatul Qadr. And so grant us the chance to meet with Ramadan, to perform our fasting, to perform Taraweeh, to perform our night prayers, to give to the poor and the needy, to perform our zakat, to do our tadarus al-Quran, to get connected with the Quran once again. For indeed, the Quran and our fasting can all be parts of the salvation on the Day of Judgment. Oh Allah, we are all here broken, one way or another. Some of us, we don't even know who we are anymore. Some of us, we lost our way along the way. But we know that as long as we have you, Ya Allah, we can never be lost forever. For we know that as long as we have you, Ya Allah, we will never be broken forever. Because your love is unmatched. Your love is vast. And your love is greater than your wrath. So if anyone here feels, Ya Allah, that the problems that they're facing is due to your wrath, please help us understand your love better, Ya Allah. We need that understanding. We need that wisdom, Ya Allah, in order for us to grow, to become better, and eventually, hopefully, have a good ending to our lives and be reunited as well with our most beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the Day of Judgment. ربنا تقبل منا دعاءنا وصلاتنا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم.